Okay guys, today I'm actually going to go ice skating. For those of you who follow my channel, you know I like to do 18th century reenacting. And I was reading that in 1750s, Rogers Rangers actually used ice skates to go spy on the French forts. Robert Rogers mentions 3 times in his journals about using ice skates. So I did a little research on what these ice skates were like. Okay, now this is the ice skate that I came up with. In 1772, a man named Robert Jones actually wrote a book called A Treatise on Ice Skating. And I'll show you that picture here in a minute. But in that picture, in his book, he shows an ice skate from the 1770s. And I believe that is something very similar to what they would have been using in the 1750s. But it shows a wooden platform with a metal runner underneath, and on top it has a leather heel strap, and his shows a long leather strap coming out of the front slot with a buckle on it. Now he mentions that many people had their own way of lacing their skates, and he mentions a tape or a ribbon that they'd put through the front heel slot and then back through the heels. They put through the front slot and they'd run it through the heel strap and back over the front of the foot, and they tie it. And he mentions crossing it in front. And in a minute I'll show you a bunch of pictures that I found from the 18th century that actually show this. So that was really helpful in trying to figure out what kind of ice skates Rogers Rangers would have been using. Now, most of the ice skates in those pictures, they don't have wood down here on the neck. And some of them look like they're a little bit rounder on the main platform. And the blade, some of them curl up, some of them are just a little curl. But they didn't have wood right here, as far as I can tell. But this is the closest representation I could get to an 18th century ice skate.
Okay, so this is the picture in Robert Jones' book, A Treatise on Ice Skating in 1772. On the left is a side view of the ice skate that he is talking about, and you can see the metal blade on the bottom, and on the top it curls up just a little bit. You can see a rear and front slot in the wooden stock on top, and then on the right is the view from the top of the ice skate, and in the back you can see the leather heel strap, and then in the front he has a long what appears to be a long leather strap that then he would use to strap on top of his foot. Now he actually mentions adding a piece of leather to the bottom of his shoe and actually screwing the skate to their shoes each time that they were skating. But he talks about different ways of fastening on the skates and different preferences people had, and he mentions using a tape running through the front slot and then through rings in the back of the heel strap. So that's kind of what I went with. I did not put rings on my heel strap because I knew I was going to be skating in moccasins, and I was worried that any metal ring on that would maybe rub against my ankles and become sore. Okay, so a few more pictures of ice skating. This one is from 1646. The man in the lower left is on ice skates behind the cart. This one here is from the late 1600s as well. The man sitting in the left corner is strapping on ice skates. Now this one here is from the British Museum, and you can see the man laying on the ground. You can see his ice skates there. And the next picture here shows how it's crossed in the front, tied to his foot. Now this picture here is also from the British Museum, copyrighted to them, used with permission, and this here shows a good view of how these ice skates were strapped on. The man laying down, you can see how the straps come back and then go up over the front of his foot. On the girl standing up in the middle, it appears that the cross in front on her ice skate. And if you look at the front of their ice skate blades, you can see how they curl up a little bit. And those earlier pictures, you can see they curl up quite a bit on some of them. This one here is from the 1780s.
Okay, now to put these skates on, I'm going to put my foot in here like this. Now, Rogers Rangers routinely wore moccasins, but I'm not sure if they were wearing their moccasins while they were ice skating. It's possible some of them were, but it's also possible they were wearing a stiffer shoe, like a colonial shoe or boot of some kind. Okay, so I got my foot in here like this, and I'm going to pull on these. I have a piece of leather that actually comes through the bottom heel strap, and then I have my ribbon that runs through that. That allows this piece to go over the top of the toes right there. You could just run it straight through like this and then cross over the foot, but it doesn't get this extra piece across there, and that really seems to make a difference. So then they come through the back of the heel strap like this, and this is mentioned in that book from 1772. And then I'm just going to lace these right up over the top. Now when you're skating in something like this, tightness is very important. You have no ankle support, so you're using all your muscles to try to keep your ankles stiff and straight from tipping on you as you're skating. So this is how these skates are going to be laced. I'm going to get this one on, and we're going to get started skating on these. Okay, there we go, both skates on. Okay guys, I'm kind of mixing my style of traditional and modern today. Got the canvas anorak on today. It's a little bit cooler out, but I got the moccasins and the leggings on, and I got my skates all ready to go, so I'm going to try skating on these. Now with skates like this, you have no ankle support at all, so it's definitely something you don't want to just whip out there, and you don't want to roll your ankles. I do a little bit of ice skating already, so I have a little bit of muscles in my leg built up for ice skating, and I have used these a couple different times. I came out here 2 other times, but the first time the footage was all blurry, and the second time it was getting dark. So hopefully today's video will be a little bit better and give you an idea of what an 18th century ice skate would have been like. Okay, so after 3 days of using the ice skates, I'm definitely getting the hang of these. Not something you're going to want to do a hockey stop on, or at least not right away, where you turn sideways real quick to stop, because your ankles don't have any support. And if you just turn quickly into a hockey stop, you could just roll your ankles right over. So it takes a little bit of practice to learn how to stop on these skates. But as you can see, you can actually get going on these. And I could see how if Rogers Rangers were using an ice skate similar to these, how they could actually get going pretty quick. Now, this pond is shoveled off, and Rogers Rangers weren't on a lake that was shoveled off. But if it was windswept at all, it would have been a little bit more open ice, and would have been a lot better for ice skating. Okay, now Rogers himself mentions going with a group of men upon the ice on skates. So obviously Rogers himself knew how to ice skate, and they were going to reconnoiter, or basically do reconnaissance against the French forts. So if you were going to be going and spying on enemy forts, you'd want to be comfortable ice skating. You wouldn't want to be on there and get stuck sliding all over the ice. So it's reasonable to assume that they knew how to ice skate and were confident ice skating. a ranger during the French and Indian War, you would not have been going out as a scout without your weapon. And if a party of men were going down the ice to spy on the French forts, they definitely had their weapon with them. So they could ice skate, but they could do it while carrying their firearm. So I'm going to give this a try and we'll see how this goes. Practice, it's not too bad. I'm used to carrying a hockey stick, so it's almost a little bit better. You kind of get used to holding something in your hands. Okay, here you guys can get a little bit of a better idea of how these skates work. They just go on the bottom of your feet, and then that strap in near the back comes up, attaches to the heel strap, which is covered up by my legging now. But then the ribbon come up from the front, go through that heel strap, and tie back over the front. And I just have the extra ribbon just tucked in the cross up there. So that's how these skates work. They just strap on the bottom of your feet, and yeah, no ankle support at all. So like I said, these are not a perfect representation of an 18th century ice skate, but they're actually pretty close, and all I could really find. Okay, I'm going to see how fast I can get going on these ice skates. It's not a very long pond, but... I've had 3 days of practice on these, and like I said, I already do ice skating with hockey skates, so I know how to skate. So you can get moving pretty quick on these. Now, if anybody's wondering, these ice skates are ground flat on the bottom. I sharpen them myself. Hockey skates nowadays are grooved a little bit to allow 2 sharp edges, but these are just ground flat, so they're just a 90-degree angle on the bottom. And when you're actually pushing, that angle then grabs, and it goes pretty well while I'm going. But I noticed a little bit of a difference between my hockey skates and these blades going around turns, and even just standing flat, I can feel quite a bit of a difference. So they take a little bit of time getting used to. They don't dig in the ice as well as hockey skates do. But I'm getting the hang of them, and I can get going fairly quick on these. If I had a longer stretch, I could get going pretty quick, I think. With the flat ground on there, it actually lets them glide quickly on the slide foot when you're sliding. So you can get going pretty quick on these because they're not cutting in as much as a hockey skate would be when you're just sliding. But definitely lose some of your traction, in my opinion. Alright guys, well, I appreciate you hanging out. These were a lot of fun to work with. When I got them, the wood was kind of beat up and rough and no straps on them, so I sanded them, stained and oiled them, and then built the leather straps for them myself. And the tape ribbon my wife actually hand wove. It was some she had left over from a different project, so I used them on this. I actually usually use them for my leg ties or on my leather leggings, but I put them on the skates. So this was a lot of fun. If you have any questions on these ice skates, feel free to leave a comment. Yeah, I was really excited to learn that Rogers Rangers actually were ice skating. I hadn't heard that before, so when someone mentioned it to me, I looked up in his journal for myself and found 3 different references. So very cool, and thanks for hanging out.